Wonderful. So we have a very exciting agenda today. And before we get started, I just want to quickly highlight the importance of prioritizing relaxation and how these various techniques that we'll discuss today contribute to our overall self-care. And actually, during the Sector Spotlight call this week, I was really excited. I learned that relaxation does not mean boredom. It's vital to find balance or optimal positive stress, which falls within a comfort zone of feeling alert and engaged. And there was a quote that was shared in the chat on the call that really resonated with me, and I think it sets the stage nicely for us today. Self-care is not what you do when everything else is done. It's how you do everything. And I think the same is true when it comes to weaving relaxation into the fabric of our very busy lives. So I will move on to the next slide. As you know, today is Relax, and just a quick visual. Yuriko, thank you for sharing this beautiful forest bathing photo with me from Japan. And to kick us off today with some relaxation inspiration, I'd like to introduce Yuriko Soma. She is the CEO of Concept Asia in Japan, is involved with the development of spa and wellness projects across Asia. And she is also on the board of the Global Wellness Summit. She's here today to speak about the healing magic of Shirin Yoku, which is translated into English, forest bathing, a cornerstone of prevention in Japanese medicine. Over to you, Yuriko.
Thank you. My name is Yuriko Soma. I'm actually talking from Japan in the middle of the forest, but unfortunately at the moment, 11 o'clock. So I like to talk about the forest bathing in Japan. Actually, this is the cheapest way to increase the immune system and really best matching after the actually, the forest bathing, our country, it's actually 70% is occupied by forest. And another 70% of the forest is occupied by evergreen trees. That's a key issue because evergreen trees has particular chemicals. It's called as a phytoncide. I don't know which is a right English pronunciation, but phytoncide is one of the chemicals which increase the natural killer cells. So that's one of the key issues why the forest bathing is not just relaxing, but also increase your immune system. So nowadays, all cancer treatment is shifting from chemo to natural way. The natural killer cells can be implanted, Israel is one of the country can do that, but so expensive. So you just go to the forest, evergreen forest, and get the phytoncide. This is the best way to increase your immune system as well as the, decreasing the adrenaline to stress out. So it's actually, year 2019 Global Wellness Summit in Singapore. We invited one of the professor named Lee Chim. He's a professor of the Japan Nihon University medical class, actually medical doctors, PhD doctor. And he has very interesting report. Year 2006, he started the first trials, take the lots of, a few people, 20 groups into the forest, stay in the forest for 2 nights, 3 days. After the 3 days, check their immune system and increasing the enormous level of the new killer cells. So then 2 years later, he has another trial. That's it. That is, one group goes to the forest for walk for 2 hours. Another group go to the city to walk 2 hours. The same, relaxing and nice chatting and walking on the forest or walking on the street of the city. And again, the huge difference between the immune system up. The one group in the forest, natural killer cells, it's increasing enormously. But city, it's not really actually flat. So again, the key issue is actually phytoncide. That's evergreen trees. It's providing us, actually that's a phytoncide when the tree is be cut, etc., to try to protect themselves to take that chemical outside. So we are living in a mountain, we are living in a forest, and we have to, live together with forest because so many things the forest can give us. One of my favorite things is what I showed the picture. We have a lot of onsen in Japan, and the one onsen and the forest is good matching. So therefore, our onsen is no roof, like an outside forest onsen. And occasionally the river is hot water river. We're making our own temperatures onsen on the riverside, of course, underneath of the forest. So again, the adrenaline level is down and so relaxing. Your body is getting warmer, means another immune system up. So many things we can, be given from the nature to build our immune system. So after the COVID, we have to be thinking about how to live together with nature. So, and how to build your immune system without any chemicals. So forest bathing, keep your body warm by onsen or whatever the way. It's the, what's my recommendation because it's really cheap and it's really nice yourself. And, a beautiful anyway, the nice greens and the very nice forest cypress smells. And, occasionally, even, sounds of the forest, it's beautiful. So many nice things in the forest and forest walking, forest bathing is one of my, 100% recommendation for you to, I don't say that, every day, but the forest bathing keep the 2 weeks for the affection. So once 2 weeks, go to the forest to build your immune system. That's one of the very good way to be keeping our health. And that's, I try to say, like a nice moon tomorrow, the full moon. So we are working on the full moon forest and, build your, let's healthy together. So that's my presentation.
Thank you so much, Yuriko. That's a great prescription. I like how it's so accessible and affordable. I can visualize those evergreen trees. So thank you for sending that photo, super helpful. And before we move on from forest bathing, I'd love to pop over to Susie Ellis, our chair and CEO of the Global Wellness Institute, for a quick trend moment, because forest bathing was one of our top trends in 2015. And it's wonderful to see this growing awareness since then.
Thank you, Kendra. And Yuriko, thank you for being up at such a late hour, and because it really makes a difference that you're talking about forest bathing rather than us just reading or talking about it. And I'd love to hear you say the word Shinrin Yoku. That's, Kendra mentioned it. That's the name in Japan. And what I've learned is that if you talk to people in Japan about forest bathing, they don't know what you're talking about. You have to say Shinrin Yoku, but might you say it for us? Maybe you can unmute and you say it. I'd love to hear it from you. Can you unmute yourself? There you go.
Okay. Shinrin Yoku. Shinrin Yoku. It's the right word in Japan now, in the English. Shinrin Yoku.
Shinrin Yoku. Good. Thank you. Stay unmuted for a second, because I just wanted to mention also that as Kendra mentioned, it was 2015 when we wrote, from the Global Wellness Summit, the Global Wellness Institute, we do trends, and we've been doing it for a long time. And when Beth McCrory and I wrote the trend on forest bathing in 2015, nobody had heard of it. I mean, we came out with it, and even the New York Times ended up doing an article about it, and some of the major magazines and newspapers. Today, 2021, we're reading a lot more about it, but it has taken quite a while, and it's one trend that we kind of point to as something that we sense that was just exactly the right thing in the wellness arena, because it was inexpensive and there was science behind it. That's the thing, and I hope that you all heard what Eureka's saying. They've done a lot of studies, people going in the forest, they take the blood before and after and see that there is a huge difference, lowering blood pressure and that kind of thing. And those studies, and someone asked in the chat, we have on our Global Wellness Institute website, wellness evidence. And that's where we've actually added forest bathing to the modality. So if you go there, you can click on forest bathing and it will take you to the studies that are in PubMed and a few other publications. And I just wanted to end by saying, some people think, forest bathing, do I have to get naked? I've had people say that to me because they don't know. And of course, you think, well, forest bathing, are you going out and are you naked? No, you're not. But maybe, Eureka, can you just tell us what you do when you go out into the forest that you call Shinrin Yoku?
Okay, so actually, one of the very important things is the breathing, inhale, exhale. So we have a samurai inhale, exhale way, and like 3 seconds, just exhale, inhale, and stop, and 15 seconds to breathing out, exhale. That's a samurai breathing or something like that. So we actually not only working on the forest, but also, do these kind of exercise as well, because that's the best way for taking the, like a particular chemical phytoncide. So that's like a combination, not the naked is also, but just working with the casual clothes, but we do the lots of inhale, exhale, and also touching the trees. The feeling from the trees, because trees live, trees talking. So we just hug occasionally. So that's a way we occasionally do it as well. So that's our way of the Shinrin Yoku.
Yes, I've read that it's really about all the senses, smelling, and touching. And even though we're not in Japan and I might not have evergreen trees here in Miami, I do think that getting out in nature is the key, and the breathing. And I know Sandy Abrams is here, so the breath part is so important too. So anyway, I just wanted to mention the trend moment, that it was a trend that we identified in 2015.
And I've put it in the chat so everybody can find everything, including the wellness evidence.
Very good. And lastly, I'll just mention that Eureka has written a book with her husband called J Wellness, Japan Wellness. So she's really an expert on all the things like onsen, like forest bathing, and it's a great resource. Let's put that in the chat too, so that people can access that. So thank you, Eureka, and thank you, Kendra, for thinking to have forest bathing as part of the relax topic today.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Eureka, so much for joining us. Thank you, Susie. And thank you for bringing up breath work, because talk about the perfect transition to our next speaker. Next up, we have Sandy Abrams to lead us in a calming breathwork exercise. Sandy Abrams is a longtime entrepreneur on a mission to empower people to tap into the power of breath. She is an author of 2 books and has led breathing workshops with many notable companies. And she's the co-chair of the new GWI Breathe Initiative, and is joining us today from the Redwood Forest of Canyon Ranch Woodside. So talk about a perfect double segue from Eureka. So over to you, Sandy.
Thank you, Kendra. Thanks for having me. Eureka, that was beautiful. And I am grateful to be coming to you today from the Redwood Forest here at Canyon Ranch. I might have to try naked forest bathing. I don't know. You mentioned that and now I'm thinking, but it is so special. And I love the idea that the forest bathing, it sort of equalizes well-being just like breath does, as it is free and accessible to everyone. So I only have a few minutes today, so I want to make this experiential. I'm just going to start with a minute or 2 of talking points, and then we are going to breathe together and we're going to feel relaxed together. The great news is that we all have the power to relax at any time, anywhere with breath. It's science. But relaxation comes when we go inward. going inward is truly a coveted destination these days, especially after pandemic, when all of our focus was so external. And now going inward feels like self-care. And that's where relaxation comes. It comes from being inward. So this morning, I'm going to give you simple directions on how to go inward, and breath is the vehicle that will take you there. So that, and breath also helps you to create your best mindset and energy in small moments. There are different ways to breathe that will calm you, that will balance you, or that will empower you. But breath is all about creating your optimal mood, mindset, energy in small moments. So let's go inward. Get comfortable where you're sitting, both feet on the floor. Maybe do a neck roll or a shoulder roll and sort of just get really comfortable, get present. And the first step in the directions in going inward is to close your eyes. Most people rarely do this during the day, and notice how it sets that first boundary from external stimuli to going inward. The second step in the direction is to put your one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. And by putting one hand on your heart, you can even gently tap your heart center. Reconnecting to yourself is a huge part of relaxation. It's when we're not feeling connected to ourselves, that's where stress begins. Feeling relaxed and feeling connected is when your mind and body are aligned. Also, there's so much talk these days, this community knows, about the gut microbiome. And while your hand is on your belly, think about gut instinct. Think about your inner voice. So now you're attached with your hands, you're reconnected to your heart center and to your gut, two really important places in your body so that you can easily tap into relaxation. And the next step is breath. Just as Eureka said, we're going to lengthen our inhales and exhales so that we begin to interrupt the shallow autopilot breath, and we're starting to nourish our mind and body with deep breaths. So through your nose, take a long, slow, deep inhale to about 5 or 6 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. You can exhale through your nose or mouth slowly also. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling through your nose, lengthening the inhales and lengthening the exhales. As you do this, you're reintroducing deep breaths to your body, and you're getting nourished. You're reconnecting to yourself. Technically, a deep breath is when your inhale and exhale is about 5 to 6 seconds long. We're going to move into a relaxation breath, which is the general rule of thumb is making your exhales 1.5 to twice the length of your inhales. So continue to inhale through your nose with your eyes closed to a count of 4. And on the exhale, make it to a count of between 6 and 8. And really embody the feeling of relaxation on the exhale. It's science. You're now tapping into your parasympathetic nervous system. Continuing with the inhales through your nose. It's important to use the nose on the inhale. And exhaling with that lengthened exhale to 6 or 8. And as you continue for the next minute or so with this relaxation breath, visualize your inner sanctuary, this place where you can always go to find relaxation and to feel fully calm, feel connected to yourself. Visualize whatever this looks like to you. It's different for everyone. Maybe it's just a blank white space. But just know that every time you close your eyes, you go there. And I can get there very quickly when I just immediately put my hand on my heart, put my hand on my belly, close my eyes, and take a deep breath. Those are the directions that will get you to relaxation, to comfort, to reconnection to self, which is where the magic happens. It happens inward. So as you take these last few collective breaths together, just visualize again this space, knowing that you can come here anytime. Not only is breath free, but it's accessible 24/7, 365. You have a VIP pass available to get there at any moment. And breath is always the vehicle. Let it take you wherever you need to go. Namaste.
Thank you, Sandy. That was so grounding. I feel like when I closed my eyes, I really got that boundary, but I was also, going back to Eureka's, beautiful forest bathing. This is the most calm, work call I've ever had. So thank you for joining us today and teaching us that, we can always go to our breath at any time.
My
It's good
pleasure.
to have. Wonderful. So now I have the pleasure of introducing the author of our compelling Moonshot articles, Renee Moorfield, who is the CEO of Wisdom Works, a social enterprise that builds well-being driven leaders, brands, and workplaces globally. And she is on the board of the Global Wellness Institute. Renee will speak on this month's focus, Relax. Over to you, Renee.
Thanks, Kendra. And I love that I get to speak after a breath practice because we come from a space of relaxation with each other. You all, every time we do this, you all have a chance to read the article. So I want to add something different that's not in the article because it's hard putting everything I want to in that article and making it concise. What I want to start with, when we talk about relaxation, I want to talk a little bit about stress. So first off, raise your hand if over the last year and a half you have felt any stress, little challenge or stress. Yes, all of us. All of us experience on a continuum some level of distress or not enough stress. And there's some sweet spot in the middle, that kind of zone or corridor of thriving, that when we talk about the value of relaxation, it's to help us move back into that zone or that corridor of thriving. So not all stress is bad. We've really got this eustress, and I want to dispel the idea that stress is bad. We've got eustress, and that's the stimulation in our life, whether that's from within ourselves, our thoughts, or within that's from the outside world, that allows us to feel a sense of challenge and meaning and purpose and aliveness and vitality. So that's the eustress. And then we've got, thanks Jerry, Jerry wrote the eustress there. And then we've got distress, which is when we feel like the demands in our lives we can't meet given the inner resources that we have or the outer resources we have. So that's a sense of distress. If you think about one tiny aspect of our body, so our when we are feeling overstressed, all of our body, all of our biology, all of our mind, all of our emotional state is affected. One little piece of that we've all heard of is the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. Sandy brought that up, and I think Eureka may have brought that up as well. But even those systems, the way we conceive of them, we often think of one as good and one as bad. So we want to always move into the parasympathetic. Sympathetic is not good. And I want to reframe that to say, just by being here, just by standing up, just by being alert, we are activating the sympathetic response right now. That's our nervous system of engagement. Parasympathetic is our nervous system that supports rest, digest, relaxation. So we need both. You can kind of, in the context of the Wellness Moonshot, you can kind of think of these as our solar and our lunar. And we need both the solar and the lunar, metaphorically, to live as a healthy, functioning human being. All of life, all of living systems needs this. The issue, I think, in our lives, in our time, is that we have this overactivation. Sandy did such a brilliant job in saying closing our eyes creates this boundary and says, this is the first boundary to turn away from all the stimulation of the world and say, I'm going to really have this act of pratyahara, this turning within, and I'm going to pay attention to this rest and relaxation. So my kind of assignment for all of us, and as I was thinking about this last night to prep for today, I was thinking about this for myself as well, is number one, how do we integrate more relaxation in our lives, not as a separate, not as an afterthought when we get overstressed, but as an integral part of our day, our week, our seasons in life, our year. So first off, know your own signals of feeling distressed as well as feeling relaxed. What are your signals? I mean, write down right now. Write down. So for me, I can tell you, if I feel my shoulders starting to move towards my ears, I literally I feel that sense of I am overstressed for whatever reason. So what is your signal of stress? If I start to become really rash in my decision making, that's one of my signals of being overstressed. So what are yours? Know yours. And if you aren't sure, ask someone you trust, because the people around you know them already. So a loved one, a friend, a life partner, a coworker, someone you trust who can give you some 360-degree feedback, and maybe even can give you feedback about yourself that you didn't know about yourself. So knowing those signals is first step. Second, identify the life-enhancing actions that you believe create relaxation with you. Now, the key words here are life-enhancing, because there's lots of actions we take to try to move to relaxation. They're not always life-enhancing in the long term, but they may work in the short term. So what are the life-enhancing actions that not only do no harm to yourself and others, but they are a source of elevation and upliftment for you and unique to you? For example, meditation is known in thousands and thousands and thousands of studies to be a pretty good stress reliever, but it's not for everyone. If someone is dealing with high anxiety, moving into certain types of meditation may not be the best answer for them. More grounding practices may be better. So what creates relaxation within you, uniquely within you? Sandy has given us a breath practice. Eureka has talked about forest bathing. Those are two brilliant practices. What is it for you? And then the third thing that I would suggest is, how do you include it in your everyday? So how do you build relaxation, these moments of relaxation, literally into the day, so that you are showing up for that next meeting, that next phone call, a conversation with your loved one from this place of calm alertness rather than overstress? But also, how do we make it a part of our year and our lives overall, not seen as something separate? So those are my thoughts for today. I think this path of relaxation, it is so needed. And talk about one of the things the pandemic has given us, the gift it's given us, is to show us, to really illuminate how needed this path is and how much this act of self-care is so important in our lives and work and our world. So thank you all.
Thank you so much, Renee. Great advice. It's always good to be self-aware of those signals from a 360-degree approach. I know Tavia said the same thing in the chat. Completely agree. And it's always good to have those unique life-enhancing things on standby to help us out. So thank you for joining us. You're very wise. Wisdom works. Thank you. Wonderful. So I'm excited now to introduce a friend and former colleague, Carolina Campanella, a PhD and the Vice President of Behavioral Science at Delos, an innovative wellness real estate firm pioneering health and well-being indoors. Using her background of cognitive psychology and neuroscience, she will share some research and benefits behind their recommended solutions that support slowing down and optimizing relaxation and sleep. Over to you, Carolina.
Thank you for having me, Kendra, and thank you, everybody. It's always great to see, Kendra. And so I'm happy that she invited me to speak. And thank you to all of the speakers. I've learned so much already. So what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit specifically about the relationship between stress and sleep and ways that we can introduce relaxation at night to help us be more resilient. And Renee, I want to thank you so much for the background you provided on stress and on that thought that not all stress is bad, that it can be good in certain situations, it can be beneficial to us, but then it's really, as we start to think about this de-stress and more specifically this chronic de-stress, which is where that is really where these relaxation techniques can be really beneficial. And the reason I want to focus on sleep is because chronic stress has a huge impact on sleep, but the relationship isn't one way. It's not that if we're very stressed, it's going to impact our sleep, but it also works. It works in two ways, in that if we don't get enough sleep, it also makes us less resilient during the day and makes us less able to deal with stressors during the day. And so just a little bit more about how these stress and sleep interact with each other. So research shows us that when we're experiencing these periods of chronic stress, it can take us longer to fall asleep and eventually lead to sleep disorders such as insomnia. It can also increase the amount of time we're waking up during the night, which makes us feel less rested during the day, and can then have impacts on how we're interacting with others and how we're going through our day. Stress also changes our sleep architecture. And what I mean by sleep architecture is the structure of our sleep cycles. And what happens when we're undergoing these periods of stress is we experience less of what is called slow wave sleep, which is a deeply restorative state of sleep. It's when we're expelling human growth hormone, which helps in adults repair cells. And so in that respect, it has a big impact on our physical health, but it also impacts our mental health, in that during the stage of sleep, we are cleaning out a lot of the sort of wasteful byproduct that builds up in our brain from just expending energy by thinking. And so if we're not getting enough of the sleep, this can build up and this can have an impact on our mental health over time. And then when we think about the impact that sleep can have on our ability, on how we handle stress, what we see is that when we're not getting enough sleep, it changes how we perceive the world. So studies have shown that when we're sleep deprived, we're more likely to view neutral situations as negative. So we tend to have this negative lens over the world when we're sleep deprived. And we also experience more feelings of paranoia, all of which ultimately end up increasing those feelings of stress. So what do we do? So Yuriko and Sandy both mentioned amazing techniques that I want to start doing that we can adopt during the day. And so what I want to focus on a little bit more are what are some things we can do in the evening to help us prepare for sleep and have that more restful sleep, to both help us address that stress in that moment, as well as make us more prepared to deal with stress later on down the line. And so I loved that Renee mentioned sort of identifying what causes you stress and how you're responding to stress, and being able to identify that. That is great. In one way in which you can start to do this is through journaling, which is also a really effective technique at removing a lot of the thoughts that you might have during the day that ultimately cause you stress. So when we have those racing sort of thoughts in our mind at night, what that really is, it's how we're trying to commit information that we think is important into memory. And so by committing it on paper instead, you're now freeing up your brain to be more focused on the present and on relaxation techniques that you can be adopting. And so some relaxation techniques that I'm going to suggest involve including the environment, because obviously from Delos, we're very focused on sort of the impact the environment has on people. So two techniques that I want to talk about are ways that you can introduce sound, and then how you can use temperature in order to help you relax and sleep better. And so with sound, so obviously, as Renee mentioned, you can engage, if this is something that works for you, some sort of, or you want to try it out, some sort of meditation practice, but also just listening to some relaxing music, a story, or nature sounds are other ways that have been shown to help us relax and prepare for sleep. And I want to talk specifically about listening to those natural sounds. And Yuriko mentioned this in her presentation, you know, with forest bathing and sort of the importance in that. And I just want to add to that with some of the science. So neuroimaging studies have shown that in general, we tend to find depictions of nature more pleasing to us than other environments, and that this ultimately can improve mood. We've also shown through physiology studies is that when we listen to nature sounds, it actually helps us recover from stressful situations faster than other sounds. So it helps lower that heart rate and those other physiological markers of stress. Natural sounds can also, if they're very repetitive and don't have a lot of variation, can also be effective sound masking tracks, which can help us sleep throughout the night. So we know through sleep studies that any sound at around 30 decibels or higher is something that can disturb our sleep. Even if we're not waking it up, it actually elevates our heart rate, mimicking a stress response. And so by introducing natural sounds as a way of sound masking, what this does is it actually helps mask out all of those nighttime pollution sounds that might be potentially waking you up or triggering the stress response while you're asleep. And then finally, I'm going to talk about temperature and some in a way in which we can use temperature to help relax us, and specifically taking a hot shower in the evening. So research shows us that our sleep-wake cycle is closely tied to the natural cycling that happens in our body with respect to core body temperature, and that the desire to fall asleep is highest when our core body temperature drops. Then conversely, when we're stressed, what we do is we experience a decrease in skin temperature. So this is that more peripheral temperature, which eventually increases our core temperature. So this is an alerting response. And so by taking a warm shower an hour or 30 minutes before bed, during which you maybe want to engage in some breathing techniques or some other form of mindfulness, this can ultimately help reduce that core body temperature, helping you feel sleepy and more relaxed. And thank you so much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you so much, Carolina. These are great tips, and we'll definitely keep them in mind. I'm sure we'll all sleep super well tonight under the full moon. So again, thank you for joining us. And just a quick FYI, for those attending the upcoming Wellness, Real Estate, and Community Symposium in September in New York City, in-person delegates are invited to a VIP reception at the beautiful, well-certified Delos headquarters. So just keep that in mind. And now, to keep the moon's striking luminescence top of mind, I will introduce Nancy Davis, the Chief Creative Officer and Executive Director of the Global Wellness Institute, who will provide us with a moon moment.
Thank you, Kendra, and thanks for that shout out about the symposium, and thanks everyone who has spoken and given us experiences. In the spirit of our global DNA and in honor of the wonderful Moonshot partners and participants from all over the world, I just want to take a moment to tell you about today's full moon, which is known in the United States as the buck moon. According to the Farmer's Almanac, first published in the 1930s using Native American names for full moons, the Algonquin tribes called this mid-July moon the buck moon because it's the time of year when the new antlers appear on the foreheads of buck deer. Europeans call this the hay moon for haymaking in June and July. For Hindus, Buddhists, and Jains, this is the guru full moon, and it celebrates clearing the mind and honoring spiritual master. For Theravada Buddhists, this full moon is Asala Puja, or Dharma Day, celebrating Buddha's first sermon. In South Africa, this is the meerkat moon, in honor of a beloved creature in the animal kingdom and the mascot of cutting-edge science. The full moon in the middle of this full moon is in the middle of the 6th month of the Chinese calendar, and Av in the Hebrew calendar, corresponding with Tu B'Av, a holiday similar to Valentine's Day. In the Islamic calendar, this full moon is near the middle of Du al-Hijjaj, the 12th and final month of the Islamic year. It is the month of Hajj, the festival of sacrifice, and is one of the 4 sacred months during which fighting is forbidden. My hope for this month, and indeed this year, borrowing from the lessons of the cultures of the world, is that we as global citizens take time to relax, clear our minds, love each other, and end the fighting. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Yes, I like no fighting. That's definitely sounds relaxing to me. So thank you for that worldly perspective and tying us back to the many, many moons. Wonderful. So now it is that time of the call where we do a Q&A. So I will present a question on the share screen, and please feel free to reply in the chat. So the first question is, what do you feel is the biggest misconception the wellness industry has about relaxation? One size does not fit all, that you have to pay to relax. Ooh, interesting. That is so true. But I think we have a few, accessible options out there. Free accessible options. Yeah, I think it's so important that we reframe relaxation or self-care as a leading trend and not something as lazy or negative. It's an exercise, yes. That it's a luxury. That's a good point, Judith. Yes. Questioning the true value. Its impact on mental wellness, physical wellness, so huge. I'm going to keep it going just because it's a bit of a speed round, but don't let that get your stress out of optimal levels. How does physical activity, movement, and exercise play a part of relaxation? Because I feel like we don't always think about, getting physical being relaxing. And what about green exercise, occurring in natural environments, and blue exercise, connecting with water? Is it crucial? Necessary? I mean, in the pandemic, yes, definitely. It has everything to do with relaxation. I agree. Yep. True, Eric. Very true. Wonderful. Well, thank you for replying in the chat. Now I will present one last question to the whole group, and we'll have a few people share with everyone. So please, raise your hand, either use the raise hand button or just go like this. And I'll call on you, and please be brief so just more can participate. And the question is, what is an unexpected or unconventional relaxation practice that has made a profound difference in how you rest and recharge? I think it's going to be fun to kind of share our best kept secrets. So we can go. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Make sure you have the question. I could also type it in the chat, but I just need to be able to see the 3 pages of attendees we have here. So one more time is, what is an unexpected or unconventional relaxation practice that has made a profound difference in how you rest and recharge? Would anyone like to go first? Nancy?
I'm happy to say that I like to take long drives and sing at the top of my lungs.
Yes. Especially this time of year, it's so beautiful to have the windows open when you're driving. Anyone else? I'm going to be going through. Oh, Liza.
Well, I got a lockdown kitty, and I have to say I'm happy being on my own because I'm a tourist, but I'll tell you, stepping away and giving a hug or a pet to the cat and hearing the purring, I think it's opened my heart chakra and it absolutely disarms my stress.
So true. So true. Pets are crucial. Anyone else interested?
Well, Kendra,
Eric, yes. Hi.
yeah, what a question here. I'd like to say that for me, at any moment where I really put this thing down, press pause on it, I have access to so many ways to just relax and recharge. And often they come to me just like that in a moment. And just now it was with the dog, I was playing with the dog outside and I had all the time in the world to do just that. It was fantastic.
That's great. You're encouraging me to break up with my cell phone. It's very important.
Oh, you don't have to.
Yeah, it would be better to be more of a long distance relationship. Good advice. Ranga.
Right. Okay. Mine is a very simple, effective way. I laugh. Right? I laugh alone. I laugh in public. For instance, just even before a meeting, sitting outside my client's office, feeling tense, I need to relax, but not to make a public nuisance of myself. I just pick up my phone and go, if there are people around, I do it silently.
It's working.
People think I'm just having a great, funny conversation on the phone. And believe me, it grounds you in an instant. You cannot laugh in the past. You cannot laugh in the future. You are grounded and your stress levels come down immediately. The relaxation flows through your entire body. So this is something I've been doing for decades, and I would recommend it to everyone.
Thank you. I have one. Thank you, Ranga. I mostly do movement and dance, but I'll get to that in a moment. Sometimes Renee mentioned when she feels her shoulders going up, that's a trigger for her. When I feel my stress level going up, I pretend I go right into, I'm auditioning for the role of a really chill woman. Like I have to be just like really chill and I have to get the part. So all of a sudden it gives me a structure. And so now my husband's auditioning for the role of like a more loving husband. So but it's kind of an intentional thing, you know, it's an intention, but then you do the actions that come with it and it's practice. So you just have to remember to do it. It's kind of fun. It's playful, like everyone's saying.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. Deborah?
So lately I have been practicing just acknowledging the seniors that I've actually seen out and about walking, and I'm up here in Canada, and so we're a little tenuous still about interacting with each other, but actually having a conversation and saying hello and just actually seeing the smile that happens on another person's face, because we're so not engaged with each other because of all this COVID stuff and wearing a mask, and actually seeing someone smile. So that has been bringing me stress. If I'm having a really stressful day and I go out for a walk, even if it's just for a couple blocks and interact with someone, that is amazing right now, because we take it for granted that we're going to just jump back into it. And I think we have to ease into it sometimes.
So true. So true. Great way to start with a smile. Julie.
Yeah, hi. I took up cycling during the lockdown, and I have a river next to me, and it's my favorite place to go to be crazy, to sing on the bike or to shout. But one thing I've actually tried to learn to do is to ride it without holding onto the handlebars, because for me it's like a metaphor. If I could just let go of holding on the handlebars and be free, then I am free of all my worries and my cares. So that's a practice that I do now. Try to cycle and take my hands off.
That's very talented. Be careful. That's commendable for sure. And I think we have time for one more. So Colette, would you like to go?
Yes, hi, thank you. Writing haiku, it really takes you out of the moment, gets you focused in what feelings you're experiencing, and it just transforms the emotions, and then it's also a memory to reflect on.
So true. Yes, that's great. Kind of like the journaling that Carolina mentioned, just getting it down on paper so it's less racing in the head. So these are wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. I love hearing from all of you. I'm very inspired. And on a very similar note, I now have the pleasure of introducing the July Moonshot Challenge winner, which is Eric Borgalt. I hope I said it right. And we briefly just heard from him. He's a wellness experience designer from Digipause in Portugal. And he recommends putting his phone in airplane mode, opting for outdoor activities like cycling or running to let go of stress, and enjoys, similar to what Ranga said, barefoot laughter yoga sessions, which ends with a big hug to the nearest tree. This is a very elaborate answer, but thinking of forest bathing, I was just like, this is just encapsulating it all. So very inspired. Eric, we'd love to briefly hear from you about how you've established these practices for yourself and how it's inspired your work as a wellness experience designer. And you're on mute. Unmute. Sorry. Thanks. There we go.
Okay, here we are now. I was just saying thank you, Kendra. Thank you so much, because I think yes, we need to know that there is ways to make it happen, that it's possible, that sky's the limit. You know, when I said this idea about laughter mixed with barefoot walking and hugging a tree, this is just happening in the moment, when you seize the moment. So that's what Digipause is all about. This idea of a wellness by design is really to see how we can use our space, energy, and time differently, with the idea that at the moment that we press pause on this technology, there is so much more that is available to us. So what I have to offer with Digipause is really a all-in-one solution, nature-based solution in this case, that match with what we're looking at right now. People that are trying to find a solution to this tech dilemma. And the idea is really to work with hotel, especially hotel right now, is what I'm doing here in Portugal, to establish ways to provide this kind of experience, something that is meant to be accessible for those that are looking for that, that are looking to see better at night, that are looking to get a boost of energy, feel better in their own skin. So there's many things that we can talk, but overall it's just about trying it. And I think that right now this is one of our biggest challenge. And I just want to say that the GWI did an outstanding job at talking openly about digital wellness. So I want to say kudos for this white paper that you did a couple of years already. But I think that right now, as we speak, this is probably one of the most important things. Climate, we establish a healthy balance with the time that we use online, because we're forced to, and the time that we have available to do something else. And once these guys are available, be ready, because there's so much that you can do.
That's so true. And I'm sorry, Eric, your connection is a little in and out, which is why it's hard to rely on technology all the time.
Now, I don't know if anyone has some questions. Are you able to?
We're a little bit on the timeline, Eric, but we will circulate your contact information so we can connect with the group in a little bit. But thank you so much for joining us. Eric has won 2 Moonshot calendars. Now through the end of July, we're running a buy one, gift one sale. So don't miss this.
I'm having issues here.
To add.
My connection's slow.
Yes, it's a little slow. Sorry, Eric. But you can get the stunning hanging calendar 2 for 1 right now. So feel free to add it to your Zoom background. I think it pops quite nicely. In a little bit. And now I'd like to ask our audience to please plan ahead and save the date for our next celebration, which is on Friday, August 20th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard. And the focus is prepare. And in preparation of a new school year, we are curious if you have any contacts in elementary schools from pre-K to second grade, as we're interested in placing our new children's Moonshot calendar into classrooms to spark a new wellness movement for students to adapt healthy habits at a young age. So please email me if you'd like to get involved. And last, but certainly not least, I'd like to introduce Lisa Fasulo, the founder and director for the Center for Transformative Movement, to lead us in a dance experience featuring loose and open movements and a feel-good song to remind us that dance is relaxation in motion. Over to you, Lisa. You're on mute.
Great. Thank you, Kendra. Thanks, everyone. It's notable the feel of this meeting, how they're all so lyrical and good feeling that the topic of relaxation has just infused us all, you know? So I love how Sandy and Renee and Nico, everyone has spoken some way about the benefits of coming inward. And we can tune in, we come in, I teach yoga and meditation as well. And coming inward is a way of tuning in and connecting to spirit, to God, whatever we want to call it, to relaxation. Also, another way is losing ourselves. We can like literally just lose ourselves, and that is what movement is. So when you extend yourself and lose yourself, it's a different form of tuning into that very same place. So what we're going to do today, I just want to read, there was a reporter that got referred to me by Kim Marshall, one of our friends, and who was going to do a little sidebar on the work dance as an emerging practice. And after I spoke with her, we ended up speaking for about an hour. And she came to say, wait, you mean that kind of dance you do in your kitchen, or like that my girlfriends and I do? Oh my God, that makes so much sense. Why it would be why don't we do it in the day? And she ended up writing a nice 2-page article. And the headline just says, the next evolution of mindfulness and mind-body awareness doesn't require a mantra or a meditation pillow. All you need to do is let go and have fun. So in that spirit of relaxation, what I want to do today, I'll stand up right now. If you grab a pen or something, just something that you can hold, a sock, a phone, and stand up, because when we're going to be creating a little bit of dynamic tension. When there is tension, then there's automatic relaxation with it. So when we just dance like this, take it away, Kendra, it's not as, you know, there's nothing that we're creating tension with. When we're holding something or on an object, it creates a form of tension. So do you have the song going, Kendra?
Can you hear it?
Perfect. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so everyone have their thing? Let's just bring it in and out. And you can just really press it out at the end. Let's take it up. And you can feel each time you press, there's an automatic release. So anything you move to do, you can turn your head in the opposite direction and get the benefits of a twist. But if you add your lower body, so really just, how about moving it away from your body?
I know we're a bit over. Please feel free to continue dancing. Thank you so much for joining us for the July full moon celebration. We'll see you on August 20th for Prepare. Thank you, Lisa,
you enjoyed it?
for guiding us.
Really?
Everyone.
Nice, everyone.
I did some jerk and some brown stew chicken.
Thank you, Kendra, Susie, Nancy, everybody.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Take care.
Thank
See you
you.
next time.
And with movement, it just takes a little bit. So